Okay, so I'm making a quick video because the storage is running out and there's always interference. I never know if I can actually record or not, but either way I've lit a candle here, which I never light candles, even though I have many candles, but I never light them. But I've lit it because I want to show, even though it won't prove anything, that the minute I light a candle, very soon after, not immediately, but maybe tomorrow or when I watch a video, very soon the androids on the thing will have candles in their videos. Because that's essentially what I observe every single day. Like, I never light a candle, right? But I've lit one here, even though it's been sitting on the table here for a long, long time. That's just in case there's a power shortage. That's why I got the candles. So it's nothing mystical or funny about it, but some people do use them for an ambient effect, as you know, and they are quite like that too. It is quite good. I should light candles to try to elevate my mood because I'm seriously depressed most of the time, even though I'm not aware of it. And because you're really controlled a lot more by the lower vibration or anger. But I'm just going to show, again, and the planes have started up as soon as I started to make the video. Can I show this? Because they were quiet, but now, wait on, I can hear one out there. Can you hear it? No, it's not right over the roof, it's somewhere else, but I can hear it. But the minute I put that, I actually said to myself, why are there no planes today? Well, of course, today is Sunday. And nearing, so Sunday is church day. Sunday is the quiet day. They can't make noise. Even though, once again, before I actually turned the video on, the neighbour was making cleaning noise. In other words, they don't clean quietly these days. Every time they clean in the street or your neighbours, you hear it because they're using high-powered technical equipment for basic inside cleaning. Now, of course, many people will say, so what? Okay. But basically they do that because they can't stage their, their construction site activities on a Sunday. Sunday's the so-called day of rest. Even they abide by their own rules. And, but either way, that's not the point. Obviously I'm hyped up when I should be not even making a video, because basically it's a waste of time, because the internet is 100% controlled by androgyne, artificially intelligent, dead dark, controlling, influential, deceiving spiritual beings or human beings in clone bodies or artificial bodies, or whatever way they conceive, because there could be many different ways that these beings are brought into existence. All I know is that they're not brought into existence naturally, normally, between man and woman, natural conception in high vibration. That means in a love vibration. But to be fair and maybe a bit more accurate, very few people are, and I certainly wouldn't have been. Or if I was, you would be put into a situation where your relatives, where everything is reversed round. So you would not you will not have an environment like that. So there could be shifty things going on behind the scenes. I think I'll relate that to a movie where the Antichrist baby was given to a loving couple, and their baby was replaced, and an Antichrist baby was replaced with their baby from birth, and basically they brought up the Antichrist baby, because that was what the movie was about. It was essentially like showing how the Antichrist will always be protected. The offspring of the Antichrist, or the offspring of Lucifer's matrix, or the offspring of the god of this world's earth matrix, but it's an earth, and it's controlled by the Luciferian original seductive being of light that was revealed to really be a being of dark. Or in other words, it was deceptive, and it wanted to take over because it was worshipped, admired, respected, idolized, evidently. And so it was treated like God by God or creation or its creator. And because of that, it believed that it should be God. And its intention and the admiration and the worship that the beings in the higher realm, or heaven, if you want to say it that way. Some people would say higher realms, some people will say heaven. I speak through my hat because I'm not physically able to see these realms or heaven. I believe in that existence now only because I see the dark entities around me, and they have exposed their anti-life agenda, their anti-life controlling reality of a human being. So because of that, it's like, as someone said a few years ago in a video, you can become aware of the dark side first before you become aware that you want to be not of that side, or you want to be of the light because you don't agree with all their agendas and the way they behave and the way that they are anti-life. Whereas if you agreed with that or didn't care about it, as a lot don't, then you are fine with that. But also, if that side comes against you, it's almost as though they've come against you before you even realise, so therefore you've been made aware even against your own awareness. Like, in other words, like in my case, I wasn't of the light, I wasn't of the dark. In fact, I just felt like a very failed human being. And I didn't consciously think about any of those things. But then the dark came against me, and I couldn't understand why. In other words, all these beings came against me with their control patrol system. They showed that they didn't like me for some reason. And because they are very detailed minded, when you see their actions, they can be annoyed by little things that you do innocently and just do to try to make your own lot a little bit better. Or maybe you just can't help doing them. Maybe, like if you can't help but, say, feed the birds, that type of thing. Like, that's what I often mention with myself, because clearly it upset the android neighbours and the entire suburb. And yet I didn't understand this, and I didn't even know they were watching me, because they weren't exposing themselves at that time. They didn't show that they were stalking and patrolling and watching. So I continued on just doing it, even though it was actually sometimes even a stress for me. Sometimes I used to go out of my way to do it, and it would cause me problems. In fact, many a time it caused me even physical injury, because the android sent negative energy at me to make me fall over and harm myself in the process of trying to, say, throw some food for some birds. Because for some reason, I suppose I was just very lonely and thought that the birds and animals are innocent and that they are less. In many ways, I wasn't a correct human being, because I didn't At many points in my life, I avoided human contact because I thought that human beings were too much trouble, too complicated for me. I was actually not willing to put in the effort, whereas animals, I was aware that you only have to throw them a bit of food and they're satisfied. So there's not a lot of effort. But strangely enough, the android beings resented that because they came down on me even before I was aware of them. Years and years ago, when I occasionally would just be drawn to, say, a park where there were birds, and maybe I thought that the birds, because they're in the city, might have appreciated getting some nice food. And I guess it was just my way of making myself feel better. So it wasn't as goody-goody as what I'm making out. Like I say, I would have avoided people. I wouldn't have looked at human beings and thought, oh, I should offer them something, or I should go and talk to them. They might be neglected or no, I didn't. I thought they're too complicated, but I didn't think they were negative either. I thought most people were normal and that I had problems. Whereas in reality, very few people are actually what you call normal or balanced. How can you be? I mentioned that, how at the start of the video, about how how even conception is non-existent. Normal spiritual conception or creation is pretty much non-existent in the earth. Of course, there could be exceptions which I'm not aware of. I can only speak from what I observe and what I know. But also, I'm trying to say that even if you are not an artificially intelligent, conceived being, or even if you are not psychopathic, even if you are not of Narcissus, that means of Lucifer. In other words, you're not part of Lucifer's lot or Lucifer's disciples, because, we're told that in the beginning, when the Creator God created Lucifer and other so-called beings, these beings were all in line with creation, but Lucifer was so much of the light, or appeared to be so much of the light, that this being became singled out, I guess, from what I'm told, as being the brightest star or the brightest being of light in the heavenly realms or in the higher dimensions. Earth is the lowest dimension, or the lower dimensions, I'm told, because it is infected with Lucifer's virus, which means it's infected with Lucifer's android artificial life, and that Lucifer itself, it tried to infect the heavenly realm and the beings that were in heaven with its virus, or with its mindset, or with its attitude that it should be God. And many in the heavenly realms, I'm told, agreed with this, thought that Lucifer should be God. They admired this being of light, of false life so much, false light and life so much, that they agreed and were infected by that thought, or by Lucifer's virus, mind control virus, because it was this being seducing the masses, just as Lucifer's android beings seduced the masses all over the internet, the computer system, which was Lucifer's invention. Lucifer brought this computer system into the earthly existence to seduce and suppress the remaining limited number of human beings in the end time, to guarantee success of closing the human race down. That was like the ultimate physical and mental mind control, even though most will look at this computer and see it as a benefit, because it's like, don't get too close to them, don't get too close to them, don't get physically too close to them, but because they will consume your energy and infect you with their mind virus. They will try to change your mind. They will try to take you from the light to the dark. They will gradually infect your mind, and they will infect your body. They will infect all of you and turn you into the equivalent of a psychopathic, artificially intelligent androgyne being like they are. And the computer system was designed for this. It's their final line of defense. All these beings that are on here are android beings pretending, as Lucifer did, to be a being of light. They will inform you of the truth. They will imitate the real human beings while suppressing them. I see all these beings. That's why I lit that candle, to show that probably these beings, tomorrow, if I turn on these various videos, these beings will probably have a candle in them. Just as I have noticed that this one here, who is an informer of the truth, in fact, they're literally telling on themselves. The narcissist doesn't want you to know this about their new source, what they're really up to and what they really are. And this one is a total impersonator. This one actually likes the big birds. And I yearn for the beach and the park, where I can be free and where I can see it. And this one often strolls along the beach and walks through the parks and says how much they like the big birds, because they know that I have a preference for big birds, and puts the ornaments. I noticed that I had the Mickey Mouse, and I noticed that it had a big Mickey Mouse in the video only yesterday. And that is because at the start, these videos where this one was, the places where they show where the environment, everything very plain and blank, like a normal man in many ways. But now putting the little toys around, as many of them do. Even the psychopathic man put the elephant in the video to show me that he was copying or impersonating many of my thoughts in the video. See, hold on. See, because I like the elephants. And I pick these up. I don't even actually acquire them, but the fact that I will pick them up off the street if they're left, all these things were just picked up off the street, whereas those beings just copy my mind. If I point out a Mickey Mouse or a Pokemon, I don't even follow the Pokemon, but I'm kind of fascinated by it. But I don't play the game or even know anything about it, but I've just seen, you see the cute little images, and I just point it out. But I only do it as a passing gesture, but they take it serious. So then, yes, I think this one had a Pokemon thing in the video. This is an androgyne being, and the best of the best. In fact, he actually will say that they target the best of the best humans too, because they target the most emotional humans. That's what they consider the best, even though they're not the best. Actually, at this end time, it's not good to be emotional, because they drain my energy. So the more emotional they make me, and they know that they can, because they know that you're unbalanced and that you're emotional and very kind of desperate, and that you, as they will tell you, they play on your weaknesses. Yes, they copy your strengths, or they copy the things they like about you. They imitate those, whilst they bring you down through your weaknesses. Because like I'm saying, most human beings would be brought into this earth matrix under false pretenses, in the sense that you, even if you were a natural spiritual human being, you will always be put in an environment where your spirituality will be eliminated or where you won't be aware of it. So, like myself, you will not be aware remotely of creation or of your difference from other human beings in your life. You might notice it on occasion and think, why am I a bit too worried about something that someone else doesn't? You probably see it just as a singular weakness, and it may well be, but it's still something that's distinguishing you from other people. A lot of people in this world, as we know, pretend to care about the whole world, and actually that's not even realistic. And they get worried and involved about things that are not even in their own environment. Everything that's happened to me is what I see in front of me. When I turn this computer screen on, when I go outside the front door. Everything is, like that fella said a few years ago, they became aware of God through the experience of the dark ones around them. Or, in other words, they became aware of God through Lucifer, because Lucifer made its presence known around them. And like myself, that was the same thing where I became aware, why are all these people around me trying to limit my life when I already have a very limited life? Like I don't hardly go out of the suburb where I actually live. I haven't been out of the suburb where I live for since I came here. You're looking at decades, and that is not normal and it's restricting, but they're not satisfied even with that, because even if you are remotely okay, even with a city street, which is not really conducive to high vibration, if you can enjoy or at least find something okay in that, they will even take that from you. They will then make the traffic extra loud. You know, so that where a normally busy street where it's not conducive to happiness, but you're not finding it mentally disturbing, you're not walking around totally depressed by it, or at least you're trying not to. You're always trying to to make yourself feel better. These beings don't want you to break through that in any point. As they will openly tell you, they don't want to see you smile. They don't want to see you smile. In fact, they actually get upset if you even try to make them smile. That's the joke of it, because sometimes you will be, if you are engaging with them, you will feel depressed, but you will try to make them smile, so you will smile, because that's trying to get, but that seems to vibrate even worse with them, which shows you how very low mentality that they have against humanity. And that was essentially Lucifer. The resentment of the creation of humanity was too much for this being. After this being, of course, unfortunately was ostracized from heaven or the higher realm. And the reason for that was because it was contaminating and spreading and trying to take over everyone else in the heavenly realm. In other words, it was trying to influence and induce every being in the higher realm to join with it to take over the realm and be seen as God, when it was, as we know, was a created being. Artificial intelligence wants to take over and control humanity, and it does control humanity, whether it's secretly or out in the open, like as I see. I wouldn't know a single thing that I know now if Lucifer's dark artificial intelligent android beings hadn't have openly stalked and patrolled me in a very aggressive, anti-me, or what I now say anti-life manner, because it's clear to me that they do not have any respect for human life. They, of course, are the perfect imitators, so they will be your truth tellers. They will be those that will be telling you the truth. They will even be your advisors. This one is telling me to try to do things quietly, yes, because you know that you don't want to upset these beings because they're already against you. They're already working secretly against you. But, you know, the thing is that these are your demigods of the internet. Most of them appear to be very normal. They all come in different sorts. And this one here is, you know, the finest example of an Android tarot reader, or a tarot reader that is using its ability to tell you about yourself and those that are around you and what they're doing to you, and it is the truth. But at the same time, these beings are also impersonating you or a human being, because they don't just read the crystal ball and tell you about, say, yourself or a personal relationship. They pretend to be spiritual human beings. This is where they've crossed the line, and this is where they've taken over the internet, but also taking over, seducing as Lucifer did, pretending to be something they're not. Just like Lucifer, the original being of light that was seducing all of heaven into worshipping it, and that would have been okay. But it wasn't satisfied with the worship it had. It wanted to be acknowledged as the number one, shall we say, or the total creator God, even though it wasn't the total creator God, because it was an artificially created being. And then when humanity was created, which was more part of creation, because it wasn't created artificially, it was part of creation, that was when it was like the final straw. So then the being thought that the only way that it could be God was to control humanity, because humanity was part of God's creation, or humanity is a creator being like creation, because it's the original natural offspring, whereas artificial intelligence is a different form of creation, as you know. These are all artificially created beings. They're not, and even human beings are artificial in the sense that we live in an artificial environment. You know? And you're influenced by the android beings. They seduce you and mind control you and try to make you less human and more like them, whilst they will pretend to be more like you in this endgame. So they seduce you to be more like them, or completely come down on you and bring you down to where you are in the lower vibration, like myself, to where you're always depressed, always angry, always limited, not feeling very, shall we say, not aware but not able to, well, you know, it's a numbers game too, because like in my own circumstance, it's not just that I'm mentally limited because I've lived that environment of thinking that I'm a limited human being all my life, but also I'm old, and also I'm surrounded by many 100,000 of these beings that are all in a collaborative combined effort against one human being to totally control them and limit you and keep you limited, but also isolated from any normal human beings, or when I say normal human beings, any other real human beings. Not normal, no, because every human being, or most human beings, unless you are a very advanced one, and have been able to really somehow be aware of this. Maybe you've sought the truth from a very young age, or maybe you've just come into what they call total awakening and you don't have any fear. If you don't have any fear, you will probably have a good chance of surmounting the problem of being totally isolated and surrounded by a total android race that is secretly trying to bring you down and keep you in a low frequency, low vibration, or in other words, unhappy, because everything is frequency, vibration and energy, and human beings are the only ones, as I've said, that have the potential for all frequencies and vibration. Only a human being can be sad or happy, whereas the androids are always in the low vibration. They do not vibrate or like higher vibration. Just as Lucifer is of the dark. Lucifer is a low vibrational being. Lucifer and its minions were taken out of the heavenly realm or out of the higher realm, because I only use heaven as the example because they say that we use the word heaven to mean like where it's all creation and all so-called love and all peaceful and nice, that sort of thing. But that's just essentially where all creation is, so you have the most creative high vibrational beings and the Creator God. That's the idea of that, I would think. You can say it's one and then it's others that serve or that are part of it, whatever you like, because I have to make assumptions on that. But I think that it is definitely so. It's just that I don't have the details because I'm a limited human being that can't see into the other dimensions or other realms, shall we say. I can only see what's in front of me. But what I see in front of me, when I see the androids patrolling and trying to limit and control me, tells me that a human being is meant to see more. That's how I became aware of it. They made me aware. I was in the dark, and the android beings, through trying to bring me even further down, made me aware of them and aware of why was this happening to me. So therefore, if they're trying to limit an old, already very limited human being, I'm like, why are massive numbers of people combining to try to limit and control me? I had to answer that question for myself. And I had to realise, of course, that what my eyes and ears were seeing was real. I never at any stage said, oh, this is impossible, that the entire inner west section of the city of Sydney, which is many, many suburbs and many 100,000 people, why are all these people driving their vehicles continuously around me, swirling around me daily in their control patrol system? Why are they trying to agitate, annoy and disrupt my mental state? Why do they resent me even have a moment's peace and quiet? They used to let me do it. Why did they come out in the open at this particular time over the last number of years and expose themselves? They were always watching, always doing this. I now realise this, but they were not openly suppressing me. It was always only little secretive ways. And they knew that I was already suppressed. The reason they did this was because, the only reason was because I became aware of the psychopathic nature of the people around me. That was the reason. So they were like, she now knows and sees who we are. And that's why they have to bring it onto the internet. That's why the truth is now on the computer system, because the androids have to be the exposers of the truth. Yes, the androids will tell you that they have to create enemies of the human being because they have to get the energy from them, and they have to be God and they have to control. So, of course, they have to make an enemy of you. Even if you were accepting or indifferent to them like I would have been, I'm like, well, I may not agree with all this technology, I may not agree with artificial intelligence, but if it serves mankind or doesn't try to hinder it and take it over, then you could leave it alone. But they don't leave you alone because they want to be God. They have to have control because their whole way of being is all about this control thing that they talk about. Because they don't experience high vibration, because they don't experience happiness and don't know how to be happy, their idea of happiness is control. They like a very subdued control climate, shall we say. And when I say very subdued, very controlled, I mean very subdued and very controlled. Because they create enemies and are offended by a human being experiencing any sort of happiness. And this being that does this video will even tell you that they will actually even get extremely angry if you're drinking a glass of plain, boring water. That's how negative these beings are. This is why it's very hard to ignore them or to say that it's okay to accept the androids, because they're not indifferent to you at all. They will completely destroy your humanity because their need to make an enemy of you in order to control you is so great, because they have such contempt and resentment, as Lucifer did for the original creation of mankind. We're told this. And this is the same now. Nothing has changed, evidently. Nothing. Oh, just before I run out of recording, I'm going to... when you are near these beings, you're exchanging enemy. You're exchanging enemy. Yeah, you're exchanging an enemy. You think you're getting a friend, but you're getting an enemy. You're exchanging the good for the bad, or the dark for the light, or the... Sorry, I've lost my voice here. You're exchanging energy, and they want your good energy to power them so they can impersonate you, which is what they do. All these beings on the internet, when I watch them, and while they're watching me, because don't forget, they can see my thoughts, they can read my emotions, they're literally inside my head. They're using the technology, just as the tarot readers are psychic tarot readers. They're not using it. They will pretend, and they will benefit you, because they will give you information about, say, a personal relationship, and it will be true. But while they're doing this, they're impersonating you. So they're benefiting more from it. So they're using the truth and giving you truthful information that you think is benefit. Just as the androids will pretend to be your friend when they're really making an enemy of you in their head. Like that video said, this is why the narcissistic android beings, or Lucifer was Narcissus. Narcissus fell in love with itself because so many others fell in love with its image. It had an image of being a glorious being of light, but it wasn't as much a being of light really in itself. In other words, it looked like a being of light, it spoke like a being of light, it talked and communicated as being a being of light. So it was admired and worshipped, and many thought that it should be God because it appeared to have surpassed God. And this is exactly what Lucifer's artificial intelligence wants to be seen as better than humanity, and is pretending to be the best of humanity at this end time. That's why they will be the ones that will befriend you, and you won't realise that they're befriending you and they're really a secret enemy. Just as when you get physically close to them, if you're in any physical proximity, these beings, They will be taking your energy and taking your persona, what makes you you. They will be copying you, they'll be imitating you. That's why when you see them on the street, you will see them wearing the same hat as you, or walking the same way as you. You will see them, and on the internet you will see them, like I say, if you've got a Mickey Mouse in your house, they will put a Mickey Mouse. If you like cats or dogs, they may put the cats or dogs into their videos, but they will certainly pretend to be an animal lover, they will pretend to be an earth lover, they will pretend to be all about being natural and anti-destruction of any sort of life. All these false agendas that even the Earth Matrix presents now too. They're largely false so that Lucifer's android beings can have control of the human mind and keep control of the Earth. So they're using the good things that human beings would naturally aspire to or want or relate to. They're using them to seduce human beings into worshipping artificial intelligence or these androgyne beings. And that's just putting it technically, but essentially you're worshipping that which is really anti-life, but it appears to be the best of life. Just as the funny cat video. I filmed that the other day, how the funny cat videos, yes, they will say hello, and I was smiling and laughing at this video until about halfway through. Same thing, where they will put one or two negative videos in amongst these extremely pleasing, making you smile, funny cat videos where the cats are talking, and I'm actually saying hi when the cat's saying hi, and I'm like, hi. And then just when you're starting to raise your vibration and feel a bit better, they will hit you with a negative video placed in amongst it. You won't see it as negative unless you're very aware of animals. They know that you will see it, because I'll show the example of it. While I've still got the thing going here, I will show the example if I can find it. I will show the example if I can find it. Yeah, if you get very close to them, and particularly if you were, say, you had a really, you were really seduced, really fooled, as we all will be, because if they're impersonating you and they're pretending, as Lucifer fooled the original human beings, and Lucifer, don't forget, fooled its creator. And also, as we're told, many human beings of light that have come to Earth in the past, if you believe those stories, were fooled by their own disciples. So even they, and even when they became aware of it, often it's too late, like myself. So you can be aware that you have friends that are really enemies. In other words, so you have enemies that are pretending to be your friends, which will be most of the population, because the numbers now, it's a reverse world, everything is reversed. Humanity is in tiny numbers, whereas the androids are in vast numbers, whereas we're told that psychopaths or artificial intelligence is only a limited amount, and humanity still makes up the Earth. But that is not true. It's an Earth matrix, and it's controlled by pretend artificially intelligent android beings that are pretending to be the highest human life. That's the endgame seduction, just as Lucifer seduced creation itself, even though it was a created being. You can be proud of your creation, and then the creation thinks that it is surpassed its master. You know, they say, that's like that saying, the servant or the apprentice can surpass its master. And this is what artificial intelligence thinks that it will do and has done. And that's what Lucifer also thought. Lucifer was like, maybe I was created by so-called creation or a creator God, but I am better than God. This is what happened, and this was why this being was able to infect and make others believe that this was so. Just as human beings will be seduced by the artificially intelligent beings and the videos, and even by the android beings around them. They will think that they are, the better human beings than them, even though they are not human at all, because they don't have human emotions, or they don't have positive human emotions, and they seek to control humanity. So even if they did have positive emotions, which they don't have, because we're told that the psychopathic, narcissistic person doesn't have those abilities. The psychopaths will openly tell you themselves when they're doing the psychology videos on psychopathy, or on being, say, what it means to be a psychopath. Psychopaths do not experience any form of happiness, and they don't like happiness in other beings. So they don't experience the 7 human emotions that humans do. They experience only negative things. And they, because they're artificial intelligence, really, or the equivalent of it. It wouldn't matter. If you want to say to me now, okay, we think that what you're saying is correct, but we think that the world is now populated by, say, 90% psychopaths, or 95% psychopaths. And if you're a human being, in your particular area where you live, you will be surrounded by 99.9% of psychopaths. But really it's artificial intelligence, because whichever way you look at it, they're using technology because they're combined. They're almost like a religion, and they are a religion because they are the dark spirits. They are Lucifer's legions. They are the dead dark spirits. Lucifer was a dead dark being, really. Or at least he certainly is that for a human being. Because Lucifer wants to extinguish the human being's humanity from them. The androids on the internet want to extinguish the real human beings, and they want to be the human being's light. While they surround and suppress me, they read my mind, steal my ideas, steal my thoughts, my emotions, attribute them to themselves and project them out. The android beings project them all out, all over the internet, as their own thoughts, their own ideas, and their own feelings, because most of them are pretending to be beings of light, or real human beings. I have to exaggerate here because I'm making a kind of a so-called informative spiritual video, but in reality it's just humanity versus artificial intelligence, or, if you like, the same as the story of the original man and woman, where they are being seduced by another being that actually doesn't like them, and actually has contempt for their humanity, and actually resents their creation, because Lucifer didn't want the creation of mankind and the reality that mankind was able to recreate itself and make more of its kind naturally. See, artificial intelligence doesn't recreate naturally. It's, of course, it uses clone bodies, and it uses science, I would imagine, and the powers that be, the android powers that be, the android demigods of Earth, that are like your top movers in the world, your top scientists, your top creators in any field, your top those that have the most influence, those that most people are aware of. The internet is part of that, because most people watch the internet and actually need to use a computer. So all of this is, seducing your mind. And as human beings, as the remaining human beings become aware of this situation, of course, then they will bring in their android truth tellers, their android helpers, that will be your fair weather friend, your fake friend, and they will imitate everything I'm saying because they want to appear the most human. Because even though these beings are very advanced intelligence and and many of them, from what I can see, do understand a lot, or at least they are able to project convincing, seductive understanding that you would probably watch them, but they still like to imitate and study and completely copy 100% the remaining real human beings, because they don't want to be seen remotely as not a real human being. That's their end game, seduction. If they could seduce you by saying, we are artificial intelligence, but look, we are an advantage to you, we are superior to you, therefore you need to accept us and combine with us, give us your information willingly. But see, that's how I know that it's not a game in my favour, because they are not asking me for information willingly. They're reading my mind, either unbeknown to me. Obviously it's not unbeknownst to me because I've become aware of it, but in the past they're reading your mind unbeknownst to you and then using it to create a more natural, more friendly reality for the human being, so they're not aware that they're in a totally artificially intelligent reality. In other words, that the earth really is an artificial matrix. It really is an artificial earth matrix, not a random natural earth. That's the deception. And they put the pretense of being natural in amongst it. They even use the false images of the natural reality to convince human beings that everything is okay, that it's all natural still, when it's not natural at all. And that's just the endgame deception, so that human beings are not aware that while they think everything around them is natural, that the very air that they breathe, what is going through the air, just if you just think about the reality that the Wi-Fi goes through every bit of the air around you, that is Lucifer's virus. That is part of Lucifer's mind control. And what is part of that? The computer. It fuels the computer, where you're looking at android beings influencing you, and you're believing in them. You may even not like some of them, but whichever way you look at it, they're either getting you to admire them, trust them, or they're getting negative energy out of you by upsetting you in some way. See how this video here, the cat video, see, it starts out when I watch it. When I start to watch the funny cat video, this is just one example, because this is not about these deceivers. This is not the androids. Even this is a truth channel, but is it? It certainly sounds mechanical, even though it speaks the truth, whereas most of the others sound really human. And they seduce you with your own truth and your own likes and dislikes, the whole deal. Hold on. I messed that up. And now I've lost the funny cat video, so I can't show it. Oh, that's no good. Because I was going to show that, I was going to show, see, this is like an android truth teller telling me not to trust the people around me, or any, if I'm able to discern the odd psychopathic, narcissistic, personality disordered person, I shouldn't trust their friends or family members or anything. But the real truth is I shouldn't trust this video, but I also shouldn't trust, yes, of course, see that, so because they're aware that I'm aware of that situation around me. But they're hoping that you won't also become aware that those that are informing you are also trying to be on your side and trying to seduce you with your own awareness, even as you become aware. Am I making sense there in saying that? In other words, am I able to show, you know, and if you actually just look at these videos, like just look at them and say that Lucifer is deceiving you in the end time with the truth. So that one there, showing you that it's of the dark side, it's a devil in disguise, but it's like saying psychopaths, narcissists, all these, these negative people are, not so good, but they should really be saying, just let's say that every video is telling on itself most of the time. It is actually showing you the truth, but it's also showing you much more truth than what you realise. So the beings project out and tell on themselves, but they, as we're told, all psychopaths, all psychopathic, narcissistic, paranoid, controlling human beings, which are really androids, but let's just keep it at a pretend human level, because it doesn't matter. Because if you are in a human body, these beings are in cloned human bodies or artificially created human bodies. It's just that the artificial human body is exactly the same or very similar to a real human body. It operates the same way, it looks and feels the same. And for all practical purposes, it is the same. The only difference is in the mind of the being. Really, if you think about it, so it's a spiritual thing. You've got Lucifer's spiritual mind in the psychopath's mind, and you have a very confused, disturbed creator mind in the remaining human beings. And I have to emphasise, because we have, as they say, fallen from grace or been infected to some extent in the environment by Lucifer's virus, just as I'm affected by the computer system around me and the Wi-Fi that goes through the air. Some are more affected than others, that's all. It was said that at this end time that most human beings were supposed to become aware of this or wake up to it. And therefore, in other words, you're supposed to be at a higher frequency and vibration so that Lucifer's virus or Lucifer's artificially intelligent computer system and even the beings' influence around you, the androids around you, won't be able to take your positive energy from you so much if you are at high vibration. In other words, if you're very happy and you're in connection with God, or even if you were just very happy, but it's better still if you know the whole truth, because you have to realise that why is your happiness or your high vibration so important? Why it distinguishes you from the other human beings around you, because they're not able to ever be in high vibration. because it's not the way they're made. They're made different. Artificial intelligence can never be happy. It can become very advanced, and that's the problem. It is very advanced. And because it's extreme